Hello my beautiful friends and welcome to Tailor Made Beauty by Kris. I'm Kris Taylor. Today I have a full 3-day wear test of the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear Foundation. This foundation comes in 50 shades. It is a matte finish. It has SPF 15, but of course here we do not rely on our makeup for our SPF protection. Our skin is much more valuable than that. It is oil-free and says it will not fade nor will it oxidize. About me, I am 53 years old. I have mature skin. It is mostly normal. I have some dry areas. I have fine lines and wrinkles and a little bit of texture right in here. Before we get into the review, if you are enjoying this, you like my channel, please go ahead and YouTube with the subscribe and the bell and the thumbs up. Let's get to it. Day one, I've used my Dermatology sunscreen and I put that on about, 10 or 15 minutes ago, so it's really had time to dry down. No primer today. We're just gonna go in. I'm going to do half with my fingers and half with a brush. As I mentioned, it's got a pump, which I really do appreciate a foundation with a pump, and I'm going to use my palette here from Ulta. There is one pump, and you can see that this is some thick foundation. Here's before I've put anything on. And after, so nothing on this side. So it's covering up redness nicely. That applied nicely with my fingers. It wasn't as creamy as some foundations, like the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin went beautifully with fingers, but of course that is a much runnier foundation. But for a thicker foundation, it wasn't too bad. I don't think fingers would be my preferred method though. I'm going to take another pump. This is the It Cosmetics for Ulta Airbrush, what do they call this thing? Airbrush Blurring Foundation, the 101. I really do like this for a foundation brush. The bristles are dense, but also soft. They're not super stiff, but because they're really dense, I feel like it does a nice job of working the foundation in without giving me brush lines that I pick up with some other brushes. And I know sometimes that is that foundation's fault. I do think I like how it applied better with the brush than my fingers. And I don't know if it's just my bias, but I do feel like my pores look a little bit better on the brush side than they do on the finger side. I'm going to take what's left on here and really cover my nose and chin. I am meeting a friend at the mall today and will be wearing a mask. Here's my final makeup and hair for the day. It has actually been about an hour, maybe closer to an hour and a half since I put the foundation on. And even looking in just my regular mirror that I've got right here, I can see that I feel like no primer, it is accentuating texture down here. It definitely, to my eye, looks like I'm wearing foundation. It doesn't look bad, it just, isn't like my skin, but better. Which, since this is a fuller coverage foundation, makes sense, I guess. So let's see how it wears. It's been 10 hours now since I put the foundation on, and I figured since this is claiming to be a 24-hour foundation, 10 hours really shouldn't be that much of a test for it. Having said that, even looking in a regular mirror, it is broken up all through here. It's settled into not even fine lines, settled in my major lines around here. The forehead area looks pretty good. The cheeks look pretty good. I will say this afternoon it did feel really tight and drying around here, so I'm going to be really curious to see how it performs with a primer. Day 2, and yay, it's primer day. I am using the Laura Geller Hydrate Spackle Skin Perfecting Primer that came in BoxyCharm. This is very much like any of the other kind of lotiony primers that I own, so I figured it was a good representation. I feel like there are, 3 basic kinds of primers: this lotiony moisturizing type, putty type, and then the gripping ones. So today, moisturizing. I do like to press it in, especially, down here where I had all those problems yesterday. And application today, sponge and brush. We'll do brush on this side today, sponge on this side. This is the super sponge that I really, really like. It is a sponge, clearly, beauty blender type sponge, but the outside is silicone coated so it doesn't suck up product. There is one pass. I want a little bit extra to cover over the redness in my cheeks, plus it feels like I'm getting a little blemish down here. That took about 3/4 of that pump. I tried to do a half a pump now. And I feel like the sponge, so you can see, there's product on there, but it didn't absorb. Look how much still is on the palette here. And I feel like that gave the same amount of coverage as, errant hair there, as the considerably more product on the brush side. And when I've looked in the 7X mirror here, both sides look as good as they're gonna look. No marks, no brush marks, no patches. It went on very nicely. It's the end of day 2. I am 9 hours into wearing this foundation. And honestly, I'm at a little bit of a quandary. So if I go look in a regular mirror, and honestly at my house, the best place to do this is my closet. It is really well lit, and I've got a mirror in there. And so if I stand, a good 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet away from the mirror, it looks fine, right? But when I go to the magnifying mirror, when I go to my 10X mirror, okay, yeah, it's settled into lines. I'm just kind of used to that, right? I'm 53, but it's broken apart in the mouth area. Again, underneath the nose is broken apart, down on my chin it's broken apart. And honestly, I've got foundations that don't do that. So I go, all right, for, us mature women who have texture, who have wrinkles, maybe this isn't the best foundation. If you're younger or you're an over 50 who's been blessed with really smooth skin, then maybe this is going to be great. I am going to try a different primer tomorrow. I think we'll go with a putty primer and see how that works. Oh my gosh, I made one of those absolute rookie YouTuber mistakes. I was not recording. But I cannot go through this day again. So I'm going to tell you that I used the e.l.f. Poreless Primer. I wanted to see how this foundation works with a putty primer. I talked about how I really like the coverage that this gives me. I don't feel like I should have to be working this hard to find a primer that it works with. And I had my fingers crossed for said putty primer. Also, I have a blemish down here that I wasn't super happy with how it covered. You're coming in close. This foundation, I've had it on for an hour. I haven't powdered or anything. Oy, what a mess. You can see how it is already breaking up under my nose, settling into fine lines and wrinkles, and emphasizing texture on my chin. I'm not washing it off. I will give it the wear test today. Thank goodness we're still wearing masks because they cover all of this up. I'm here for an 8-hour check-on day 3, and it should be no surprise after the last 2 days that this foundation is not my favorite. Just like an hour after I put it on, it just continued to wear away under my nose, settle into everything it could possibly settle into. Having said that, I'll say like I don't feel like it's accentuating anything on my cheeks. It's not too bad on my forehead. I'm kind of at a loss for how a foundation can be good from here up and such an absolute train wreck from here down. And that is not usually the case with foundations. So I think I am done testing this one. What are the pros of this foundation? You know, I can't deny it's got a great shade range, right? 50 shades, just about everybody should be able to find something that works for them. It didn't get shiny, right? It's a matte foundation, and I do like when it doesn't get shiny. I never felt like I had to powder in the afternoon to keep, from here up looking good. It certainly was long wearing where it didn't rub off. Masks and my habit of doing this proved a little bit more than it was up for. And it applied really well with fingers, brush, or beauty sponge. Really, it is not a picky foundation in that respect. The cons. It got patchy, right? It totally broke up on my upper lip, on my nose, on my chin. Occasionally it felt dry and tight, and it most certainly settled into fine lines and wrinkles. Who do I think would enjoy this foundation? I think if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, even above, if you've got really good, smooth skin and you are looking for a long wearing matte foundation, this is a great one for you. If you are oily or combination in the T-zone, I also think that this would be a good foundation for you. It said it was good for normal skin. I have to disagree. Most of my skin is normal. I'm not surprised that most of the issues I had were down on my chin. That is where I run a little drier. But even on the upper part of my face, I didn't love it. So again, maybe if you're younger with normal skin, this would be an okay foundation for you. And also, you've got to be okay with it looking a little bit like makeup and feeling a little bit like makeup. I feel like lots of people are really loving the, oh, I can't feel it, or you can't tell that it's makeup, it's my skin, but better. And I can definitely see the appeal of that. But some of us are still looking for good coverage. We want it to be a really kind of finished, polished, makeup-y look. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So if you're okay with or looking for that my skin, but it couldn't be because it's full coverage, this is a good foundation. If you want to see a video on a foundation I loved, there's a card right up here on the Stila Hide and Chic. And also what I'm going to do in just a few seconds here on the end screen is I will link 2 more foundation videos that are really good for mature skin. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a fantastic day.